Hi, my name is Dr. Bill Fortney. I'm the director of NC State's Mechanical Engineering Systems BSc program located in Havelock, North Carolina. And I just want to say thank you for joining me. This is the first in a series of videos to help you as an engineer learn how to use Excel. Excel is a powerful tool that you're going to be able to do a lot of things with. As an engineer, you're going to have a lot of tools. One of the other tools you'll learn about is MATLAB. And one of the key skills is learning how to pick the right tool for the right job. But this video, or this series of videos, is going to focus specifically on Excel. I'm going to assume that you know nothing and bring you up to speed of where you need to be as an engineer with Excel. If you know Excel, it's going to be a good review. I still encourage you to go through and listen because you may pick up some tips. And here's how things will go on all these videos. I'm going to show you something, then I'm going to give you a chance to do it. If you're not sure how to do it, you can watch me do it. If you're good in Excel, you can jump ahead, go ahead and do it, and then move on to the next topic. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to give you a quick intro into Excel. So Excel has rows, it has columns, and at the intersection is a cell. And in cells, you put three things. You put words, so I could type words. You put numbers, so I could put a number. You put equations, so I could put equals, that cell right there, plus 5. That's an equation. So if I change this, that's going to change. And then you also put something we call functions. Functions are right up here. And in Excel, there is a function to do just about anything you can imagine. Here's all the categories. You see there's engineering functions, there's statistical, there's math. About anything that you can imagine, we're going to learn how to do those functions. Right now, we're just going to get started, and I'll show you a few basic functions in this video. So in a cell, you put words, which mean nothing to the computer. They're just for us. You put numbers, which are really numbers, and you can do equations with those numbers. Okay, so your whole file in Excel is called a spreadsheet, and there's tabs down at the bottom. Now, my tabs are numbered. If I was to come down and add a new one, it would just say sheet. You could double click on it and you could type a name for it, okay? So I don't want that in there, so I'm going to right click and I'm going to delete it. But so inside of this one file, there's actually lots of different spreadsheets. Each one's separate, but you can refer formulas in between them, so you can create some pretty complicated things. Okay, so let me just jump in and start with an example. So let's say that you own a company that sells and installs carpet, and you want to be able to easily calculate how much carpet you need for a room, as well as how much baseboard that you need to purchase. And for now, we're going to assume all the rooms are rectangular and all the doorways for a given room are the same width. So you see what we've got. We've got a room, it's got a length and a width. We have multiple doorways and they're all the same width. And so what I want to create is something like this, where I can come in and for a given room, I can put the length in feet, I can put the width in feet, I can put the doorway width in feet, and I can put the number of doors, and then have Excel calculate for me how much carpet I need and how much baseboard that I need. That's what we want to create. Okay, so I want you to do that. So I want you to come up here and as your homework, if you'll call it that, with this video, is I want you to add what you need to make it do what we want to, just like we do down here. So if you think you know how to do that, stop the video and go ahead and do it. If you're new to Excel and you want to see me do it, then I'm going to do it, then stop the video and you do it. Okay, so let's go through here and do what we need to do to make this match this down here. The first thing I need to figure out is, okay, what is my equation for carpet? What is that? That's the area. Okay, well, yeah, that's just going to be the length times the width. So I'm going to come right here. Where do I want that number? I want that number right there. So there's two ways you can put equations in. You put an equal sign always. That tells Excel I'm going to do an equation. And one way is you can just go touch what you want. So I can come up here to length and I can touch it. And then I want to say times. And now I can go touch the other thing I want. I want the width. Perfect. Okay, so you see, there's that equation right there. The other way I could have done it is, let me get rid of what's in there. Oh, and something else I should have shown you is, you know, up across here are all your menu options and all that kind of thing. Your version of Excel, it may look a little different, but all of the same functionality is there. It's just the menu may look a little bit different. But one of the things I did want to show you is right here is the formula bar. That shows me what cell I'm in. Okay, I'm in P10. And that tells me what's in that cell. So it's telling me there's an equation in there, P5 times P6. Yep, that's right. So now I'm going to delete that. The other thing I could have done is I could have just said equals and typed that. So I said, okay, I want P5 times P6. Let me click there. Is that what I want? P5? Yep. That's exactly what I want. See, and if you notice right there, you can see what row I'm in. Yep, that's 5. I look right there, that's P5, that's what I want. Click right there, perfect. So there's 2 ways to enter. Okay, now I need to worry about the baseboard. What's the equation there? Well, I've got length. Well, I've got the width twice, the length twice, and then I need to subtract out for the door widths. So I've got 2 times the length plus 2 times the width minus the door width times the number of doors. Okay, so I'm going to come right in here and I'm going to do that. I'm going to say 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, okay, minus, and I think I hit something when I was putting that in. I'm going to start over. Okay, so equals 2 times the length, that's good, plus 2 times the width. And if you look right there, you can see the whole equation. Yep, everything's going just like I want. Now I want to say minus, I'm going to put a parenthesis, and we're going to talk some more about parentheses later if you're not comfortable with them. And now I want the door width times the number of doors. Close my parentheses and whammo, right there. So you see, now if I come in and change the length to 15, these are equations referring to these cells, and they're going to change. So let's add some formatting to it. So one of the nice things with Excel, like if I need to change the column width, all I have to do is, if you see when I come up here and I go in between 2, see how the cursor changed? Now if I just move it. The other thing is, when it's changed like that, if I double click, it makes it as wide as it needs to be. So you see, it's making it wide enough to fit that right there. If I delete that and now double click, it's going to make it fit those guys right there. The other thing is, say if I wanted to make that bold, I just highlight it and hit bold. The other thing is, if I highlight multiple things, whatever I do, it does to that. So I'm going to click bold, and while I got it, I want to center it. So those 2 are centered. See, notice all this is centered. So I'm going to highlight all that, and I'm going to hit my center. And sometimes if something is part of it's already centered, you have to do it twice. Yep, there it goes. So everything's centered. So that's nice. Also, I want to add the units for this. So I'm just going to come right here, and this is an example of adding words. The computer has no idea what my units are. I said right here to type it in feet. So my answer is going to be in square foot. So I'm going to say foot, and I could say, I'm going to put a 2 right there. And now what I could do is I could come right here, and I could either double click right here and highlight the 2, or I could have clicked there and came up here and highlighted the 2, either one. And now what I could do is I could say font, and I could say superscript. There we go, and actually make the little square there. If I wanted that to be a little bigger, I could change the font and say make it 14 and bold it. And then I could do the same thing right down here. Now, one of the nice things with Excel is I could just take that and copy it and paste it right there. So now I've got the units for both of those guys. Okay, so let's look at these lines. When I come in here and I highlight an area, and now I'm going to right click and say Format Cells. And this menu right here, Format Cells, lets you do so much. So like that's where I can say, how do I want my numbers to look? Do I want them to have a fixed number of decimal points? So let's say for me, I don't want any decimal points. So I'm going to say 0. Do I want to put a comma? Do I want to have currency? Is it a percentage? Is it time? Also alignment, whether it's centered or I put it at an angle, whether I wrap text, and fill, whether I want the thing to fill. All the characteristics of a cell, even though a lot of them are on the menu here, they're also in this guy you get to right here. But what I really like this for is what I'm doing borders. Because you see this box right here? This box relates to everything I have highlighted. So if I picked a thick line and said I outline, a thin line and said inside, and then say OK. Look at what it did. It did all of that. Now I could go like that. Right click, Format Cells, and I want the bottom to also be thick. See, that's where I got that right there. And then if I wanted to, I could take this guy right here and go ahead and Format Cells, make him like that, and inside, whoops, make the inside thin so I could click right like that. You know what, maybe I look and say, you know what, I don't like that thick line in the middle there. So I'm going to highlight it like that. I'm going to right click, say Format Cells. And look, now that thick line that I want to get rid of is in the middle of my area. So I'm going to just take that and click it twice and tell it to get rid of it. And now I look like that. Okay? So you see, that's a basic example of putting in words, putting in numbers and equations, and then doing some formatting to make it look like you want to do. So go ahead and stop the video and make sure that you can do that and create this. So if you said, no, you know what? No, actually I have 5 doors. So notice my amount of baseboard went down, so I don't need as much. So make sure that you can do that. So stop the video and make sure that you can do this right here. Okay, so let me show you a few more things. Let's say now we want to be able to handle odd-shaped rooms. So we say to ourselves, okay, that's not a big problem. And I'm just going to look at carpet right now. Let's forget about baseboard for a while. Well, I could look at my room as different rectangles. I could divide it up. And then I could just have a section and put my length and width in for each section, calculate the area for that section, and then add them all together. So that would be the way that I could figure out how much carpet for odd-shaped rooms like this. So that's what we want to do. So just like before, now you come up here and you add what you need to, formatting and equations, to make this work like we've got down here. Because just if I said, oh no, this section was only 10 by 5, notice when I change 5, the area changes there and the total changes there. Those are all equations in there. So that's what we want to have happen up here. So if you know how to do it, if you're comfortable with Excel, just go ahead and do this. If not, you can watch me do it and then stop the video and you do it. So the first thing I want to do up here is I want to change some formatting. See, notice how I have the length and the foot typed in, but it's too wide. One of the cool things with Excel is you can highlight and say wrap text. So now it wraps in the cell, and then I would want to center it. There we go. That's pretty nice. I think most of my other formatting is done, except I'm going to highlight all that. and center it all. Okay, that's good. Now what I need is I need an equation right here that takes that times that. That's pretty easy. I'm just going to say that times that. I'm going to say that times. In a minute, I'll show you an easier way to do it. Whoops, I don't know what I just did. Equals that times that guy. Very good. Equals that times that. Okay, that's beautiful. So what I just did is I added the equations for each section. Now, one of the things I notice is this guy has the comma in the number and this doesn't. Where would I find? Oh, format cells, all that stuff. So I'm going to highlight all that and I'm going to right click. I'm going to say format cells. I'm going to come over here to number and say number. Okay, I don't want any decimal spots, but I do want to use the comma for separating, when it's big. Perfect. Oh, lo and behold, there's my comma on the 1,000. Great. Okay, so I got that formatting. Okay, and notice something else right here. Notice I've got this black line. If you come over here, you'll notice we go from 19 to 21. There we go, I got it. Oh yeah, that's actually another row in there that I've made black and I made it small. So I need to make that row black. And notice right here, here's fill. So I can hit that, say black. I'm not going to make it thin right now. And you'll see in a minute why I put that row in there, okay? So I've got all my equations. Now what I need to do is add them all up. And I want to make this guy go to the right. Oh, so yeah, so one of the things, I'm going to undo that so I can show you what that is. Sorry. So notice this guy right here. He's typed in right there. But I really want him in this whole area. So the other thing you can do, and you don't want to do this with numbers, just with words like this, I can highlight all that and I can say merge. So it merged and centered it. Well, that's okay. Now I'm going to make it go to the right. So you see that whole area now is one cell. So just so you can see, if I was to highlight it, you'd see that whole thing was one cell. I don't really want it highlighted, so I'm going to say no fill. Okay, so I've got everything, but now what I want to do is I want to add all those up. Now, one thing I could do is I could just come right here and put an equation. I could say that plus that plus that. Very nice. And let me center that. And you're saying, whoa, wait a minute, that's different than down here. Remember, I had a 5 right there. So if I come back here and put a 5, oh yeah, they're all the same. Okay, so I can click right here, see my equation, I add them together, but I don't want to do that. Because one of the powers of Excel is when you have things together, you can do something to the whole series. And that's where functions come in. So there's a function that allows me to add all these up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here. I'm going to come up to my functions. I'm going to say more functions. Again, there's easier ways to do this, but I want to show you the general way. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, okay, I want to sum those up. I want to add them. That's going to be some kind of math. Let me go look for what I think the name is. I think it's probably add or sum. So I come up and I look under A. Nope, nothing under there. So then it's probably a sum. So I'm going to shoot all the way down to sum. And I see sum. And if I click on it, it tells me what it does. But I also see this sum if adds up the cell specified by a given condition. That's kind of cool. One of the things I like about going to look for functions is as you do, you see other functions that are interesting. So the next time you're solving a problem, you're like, wait a minute. It had a function that let me add things up based upon some condition. Ooh, I'm going to go look at that. Well, we don't need that right now, so I'm going to click that and say, okay. When you do, all the functions take you into a screen that is showing you what it needs. So this needs the number that you want to add up. So what you can do is you can click right here and go to your spreadsheet and highlight what you want to sum. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way to that black line. Now, I'm going to show you later why I'm doing that. I call this an anchor row. That's the bottom of my range. So I'm going to click enter and, whoops, I didn't mean to hit that parenthesis right there. So let me do that again just to show you what I did. I'm going to highlight right there, go all the way to there, and then press enter. It takes me back. Whoa, I put too much in there. Let me start over. Sorry, guys. Click that. Highlight to right there. Press enter. That's all I want. So I say OK. So now click right here and look what it did. It said equal sum R8 through R11. So anything between 8 and 11, it's going to add up. Now that I know what that looks like, anytime I want to sum, I can just type that. So I could say equals sum. Oh, and look, Excel's even trying to help me. Parentheses, it's telling me, okay, now, so I go and click right there, hold the mouse down, and there it is right there. Close my parentheses, and it's done. Another way is I could say equals sum parentheses. Go to where I want to start. Now, if you hold the shift key down and move down, it also highlights. Sometimes it's hard to highlight with your mouse. So if you hold the shift key down, you also highlight. And then press parentheses and whammo, there it is. So we type in words, we type in numbers, we type in equations, and we type in functions. Functions usually do things to a whole range. Okay, so again, if you're new to Excel, stop the video and go ahead and make sure that you can do that and get this formatted and working like it should. So now when you come in and change this to 20, your area should change as well as your total when you add them up. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Okay, so hopefully everything's going okay. You're able to follow. I told you I'd show you an easier way to put all these equations in. Here's the nice thing with Excel about copying. I'm going to put in an equation. I'm going to say equals that right there, and I'm going to press enter. So this is just what's in right there. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm going to press the squiggle key. The squiggle's kind of hard to find, so you got to look around. The reason why I did that is when you hit control squiggle, Excel shows you the formula that's in here. So look, that's I-17. Yep, that's exactly what it is because I told it whatever was that right there. Now here's what I want to show you. When I say copy and I have an equation, when I copy down, Excel increases the row number for however many rows I copy down. So that's 17. If I copy 2, if I go down 2 and now I paste it, it should increase it by 2, so it should be 19 now. And look at it, it sure is. If I go the other way, if I copy, and now I go up 3, it should be 14. So let me paste right there. 14. Now if I copy and I go to the left, it changes the row number. So if I'm on I and I go over 2, it's going to change it to G. So I go over 2, so watch right here. Now look what it did. Now it's G. And the same thing, if I go the other direction, if I take that guy right there and I say copy and I copy just 1, it's going to be I and then next is J. Or if I copy and I go down and over, it's going to change both of them. So notice it changed it to G and it changed the row to 20. That's the power of Excel, is it automatically adjusts cells for you. Now you may be thinking, well, why would I want to go in all those directions and all that? You're going to see depending upon what you're doing, you may want to copy lots of different ways. But I'm going to go Control Squiggle again and get rid of the actual equations. And now come right here, and here's how I could use that. I have my equation right there. So now all I have to do is say copy, and I'm going to go down a couple and paste it. Now I'm going to go and look. Okay, so I want that times that. Did it work right? Oh, look, it changed P10 and Q10. That's exactly what I wanted. Beautiful. So now that I know my copy is working right, I can just come down and highlight both of those and say paste, and I don't have to type them every time. Now, for having 3, it wasn't that big a deal. What if I had 3,000? You see, that saves us a whole bunch of time. Now, I'm going to delete those for a second because some of you may be saying, well, I mean, why did you copy and paste? Because you can just drag it. Yes, you can. Here's why I don't like drag. If I come right here and I get it and I drag down, it copies that for me, which is really convenient. But if I'm not careful, I'm going to click right there. You see my cursor? I'm going to move up just a little more. It doesn't take much. And did you see it change? That's copy. That's move. So now when I drag it down, I want to show you what happened. It did not change the reference. So look what's going on. This right here, I would think that's the area of this. No, it's not. It's the area of 8, P8. So you see, when you move things, it doesn't change the reference, and you can create a mess really quick. So I'm going to undo. I don't want it to do that. So that's why I personally, instead of dragging, I like to copy, highlight where I want it to go, and then paste it. Okay? So just make sure you can go onto this sheet and you can copy that and then paste it down and get your equations down there instead of typing each one of them in. You know, if you want to, drag it down, drag it and make it move and see how it messes all your stuff up. But just make sure you're comfortable right there seeing how you can use copy to make your life a whole bunch easier. Okay, so when you're ready, go on to the next sheet. And now what I want to show you is, let's say we have a room that's really, really crazy and we want to be able to add more sections. So we have a room with 10 sections. So we want to be able to add information so that we can put in all those sections and it still go through and all that up, add all that up for us. So this is where this black row is going to come in. You see right here, I'm summing all those up. I'm going from 5 all the way down to 8. Here's what's cool. With Excel, when I have a range identified like that, as long as I insert rows between my range, that stays anchored and that equation's always going to stay good. So what I could do now is I could come right here on my black line. See, I clicked all the way on the outside here. That highlighted the whole row. So if I hold the mouse down and I go down some and highlight, and then I right click and I say insert, I just inserted a bunch of rows. But come down here and look what it did. You see, my range is still going from 5, and now it's going all the way down here to 19. You see, it adjusted that equation for me. That's really good. Now, I want to go section 3. I could type in section 4, section 5. One time I do drag to copy is when I have something like this. When I have things labeled 1, 2, 3, Excel is smart enough that if I come and drag this down and copy, it will increase all of those for me. That's really cool. Okay, but I only have 10, right? Okay, so now I'm going to come in here. I'm going to say, okay, hold it down. I don't want those two. I'm going to right click and say delete. Now I only have 10. The other thing I want to do, just to make these guys match, is I'm going to get my numbers. I'm going to say copy. And I'm going to paste those right there. Now what I want to do is add, I got to add the equation for these. So remember this guy? I'm going to copy him. Let me move down some. I always copy my equation down and check it to make sure it's working. P10, is that what I want? Yeah, that is what I want. Okay, beautiful. So now I can copy that. I can move down, say paste, and lo and behold, I've got everything in there exactly what I want. When I change one of these to 8, everything changes. Okay, so now make sure you can come up here, add rows, get the information in, add your equations, and get your sheet working just like this. Again, if you're new to Excel, stop the video and go ahead and do that. Okay, so one more key thing I want to show you that really begins to unlock the power of Excel for you. Now let's say we want to bring in cost. So we want to be able to come in here and put what our carpet cost is, dollar per square foot, and type it right there. So remember, those are just words. That's my actual number. And then I want to add a column down here that for each section calculates cost, and then I'm going to add them all together. So just like before, what I want you to do is add what you need to up here to do that. One of the first things I have to do is get the rest of these in. So I'm going to copy that, paste them down and make sure all those get in. And notice when I did that, it copied a thick line between there. There's two ways that I could keep it from doing that. First thing is I'm going to undo. And the reason why I did that is because I grabbed this equation and it's thick at the top. So I'm going to say copy. I'm going to highlight all that. But now what I'm going to do when I say paste, I'm going to say paste special. And it gives me all of these options. And I'm going to say paste the formulas. So what that tells it is don't paste the format. So it's not going to paste that thick line. There we go. And so now everybody's happy. So now what I want to do is calculate the cost. So that's not too hard. I want to say equals the square footage times the cost per square foot. And there it is. And I got 700. Beautiful. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that. You always come down a few rows, paste it, and check it to make sure it's really copying correctly. Paste it. Okay, let me look and see. So what do I have? I have R9. Okay, that's what I want. That's my square footage. Times P6. No, that's not what I want. I wanted it to be this number up here, P3. Oh, you see what happened? When I copied down, it increased the row number for my square foot and also the row number of this. Yeah, I didn't want it to do that. Okay, so let me show you how to keep it from doing that. I'm going to go back to Control Squiggle, and I'm going to come back here and show you this guy right here. Remember what happened when I copied this and I moved it over and I pasted it? It changed the column number. And remember what happened when I copied this and I moved down? It changed the row number. Well, the way you keep it from doing that is you put a $sign in front of what you don't want to change. So if I put a $sign right there in that equation, now I copy it and come down here, it's not going to change the 16. See, it's still E16. So now notice if I copy and I come over here and now I paste. Notice it did change the column from E to C, but it didn't change the row. So if I don't want the column to move, I put a dollar sign in front of it also. So right there, copy, right there, paste. Now it didn't change either one of them. So control squiggle, go back. I don't want it to change the row number for my P. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right here and say, look, don't change that 3. Leave that guy right where he is. So now I'm going to say whoops, I didn't mean to say cut. I'm going to say copy. I'm going to come right here and say paste. I'm going to double check it. R9, R9, yep, look right there. That's my square footage. R9 times P3. That's exactly what I want. Beautiful. So now that I've checked it, now I can come and say copy, go all the way down and say paste, and then notice it's all there. And like before, I messed up my formatting. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to come in here and say, look, okay, you know what I'm going to do? Whoops, I'm going to highlight all this, and I'm going to right click. Now I'm going to say format cells, border, and get a thin line, touch it in the middle, and say okay. And lo and behold, everybody's happy. Okay? So, by copying and using the dollar sign, I was able to go all the way down. And again, think if I had 6,000, how much easier it is. There's one more thing we want to do with this. If you notice down here, we're adding up all of these items and we get a total. So we need to add a total to this right here. And there's 2 ways that we can do that. The first way is we can just say equals, type in sum, go up and highlight the row. And remember to go all the way down to your anchor column. That's really, really important. That's how you keep things from getting messed up. We're going to see that as an example in just a second. Close the parentheses, press enter, and I'm going to check my formula. I go from 6 to 12, 6 down there. That's exactly where I want. And then all of a sudden I notice, wait a minute, that's 13,000. Down here it's 7,000. I click on that and I look and I say, ooh, I see what happened. This total only goes from 19 down to 21. So what happened is when I put this in, I wasn't paying close enough attention and I didn't define it all the way down and use the anchor row. So that way, when I inserted rows, the rows I inserted weren't in the middle of this range. So this formula didn't get updated. It's still just going up to 21 right here. So I need to fix that. I need to say equals sum, parentheses. I'm going to do just like I did before, go down to that, close parentheses. Okay, much better. Okay, the other way I could have gotten this formula in, and that I want to show you, is I could have copied it. I'm going to show you down here because look, this one's wrong too. This one's just going to 19 to 21. So I'm going to say copy, go right there, say paste, paste, there it goes. Now let me check. Okay, yeah, now it goes 19 to 25, just like I want it to. 19 all the way down to 25. And notice what Excel did. Right here, this was S. The column was S. I copied over to the left one, so it changed the S to R. So when you copy with Excel, the row, when you go down or up, it increases. The column, left or right, it increases. The last thing I need to do is get this guy fixed. So I can do the same thing now. I can copy it and I can paste it. And then I need to fix my formats. I noticed that this guy, this needs a dollar sign and this needs to get rid of the dollar sign. Again, I'm going to use copy for that. I'm going to say copy, and I showed you this before, but I'm going to show you again. I'm going to say paste special, and look at all the different ways that I can paste. I can paste just the formulas, just the values, or just the formats. So I'm going to say format and say OK. And look what it did. Now that has the dollar sign. This guy is correct. That I don't need a dollar sign. So I'm going to take that guy and say copy. Come down right there and say paste. Paste special. Formats. And that's all in there. Okay, so remember, when you copy, it changes the rows and the columns for you. That is one of the powers of Excel, is when you have lots of things like this, you can use copy for it to do things automatically for you. And you're going to see in the next video that there are times when you want it to move this way and times when you don't. So you're going to use the dollar sign on the row, on the column, and sometimes on both. So that's why it's important to kind of understand and see how those dollar signs keep things still. Okay, so that should give you everything that you need to get started in Excel. You've learned the basic layout about how there's different tabs at the bottom. You've seen how to put words in, how to put numbers in, how to put equations, how to put functions. And then you've also learned about copying, how Excel changes the reference for you, and how you can use the dollar sign, like we did in this case, to keep it from changing the row when you go down, or the dollar sign in front of the column when the column goes the other way. I encourage you to continue practicing. The next video is going to build on this and show you how to begin to solve engineering type of problems with Excel. You'll learn how to do advanced math in Excel and then put that in the kind of form that we use pretty often to solve engineering problems. So practice it, work with it, and good luck as you move forward.